URC Power Rankings for round number 7, folks. How are the teams sitting as we are a decent chunk of the way through the competition and with Champions Cup, Challenge Cup immediately on the horizon? We'll rank the 16 teams and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I should make it clear, because it still seems to get lost a little bit in translation, the Power Rankings are this fella's attempt at some kind of ranking based on kind of current form and who you've been beating, rather than just this is the URC table. So there are differences between these rankings and the table. They're not perfect, but I like doing them. And as always, you guys certainly let us know your thoughts on how they fit with you. The Dragons, sadly, for them, it's a more familiar spot. Down 1, their record is now 1-6. It's been a while since they've won a game. They went down to South Africa to play the Lions and got well hammered. They had a yellow card within 3 minutes. I mean, they did score a nice try with some crazy hands. Wainwright with a nice line break to set things up. But, geez, some of the tries they conceded were soft. So, if you're going to play like that, defend like that, you are not going to win many games, are the Dragons. But, yes, down 1 spot to 16th. Zebre, after being outside of the bottom row for a while, back in it. It's the second week they've been back in the bottom row, and they're down another spot. 37-7 they lost to the Stormers. I mean, at halftime it was only 12-7. So they were still in the game, but yeah, the Stormers were able to pull away from them. In the second half, they didn't score any more points to the Zebre boys. So yeah, there's been some optimism with a win and a draw. But yeah, it's not great at the minute. So, yeah, down a spot. And then the Sharks, speaking of not great, goodness gracious me, after getting their first win last week, 44-10, they lost to the Bulls, is pretty horrendous. Especially when you see some of the guys they got playing for them. I don't understand. I know they had a yellow card, but man, they were down 27-3 at halftime. I mean, they got a penalty try. Is that going to start a comeback? No. The Bulls still piled on the points in that second half. So, yeah, man. Sharks down 1. Their record is 1-6. And then Cardiff, they are down 2 spots with the home loss to the Scarlets, 29-23. They also had a red card in this game, which maybe overshadows things. Jenkins got yellow, red carded for a kind of tip tackle on a guy who was kind of jumping into him, which is a bit of a weird one. I don't think I've ever seen a tackle quite pan out the way it did. If you haven't seen it, go back and check the highlights. It was bizarre. But there seemed to be a decent good crowd, and Thomas Williams loves a good snipe, so they had a 14-0 lead. But like I said, I think for them the red card is probably going to be the main talking point, but ultimately it's another loss. So, yeah, 2 wins, 4 losses, and a draw for the Cardiff boys. That's your bottom row. 12th spot, speaking of those Scarlets, up a whopping 5 spots. I wouldn't normally like to move a team 5 spots in the power rankings, but they lost, and they lost. They won. So, yeah, ultimately it kind of works out to be simple as that. Their record is now 2-5. 2 wins, albeit over a Cardiff side, which they'd have a red card like I mentioned. Gareth Davis scored a couple of the tries. They came back from behind a couple of times and scored a couple of nice tries out in the wings, so decent enough win. Don't know if that's going to be enough to build some momentum. It's kind of a pity that they're off to Europe now, which is maybe going to be a bit of a distraction when I feel like they just need to kind of keep their focus on the URC. But anyway, it's a win, so wins are always welcome. The Ospreys are in 11th, and they lost, albeit to Benetton. Now, if you'd said Benetton in previous years, that could mean a mid-table team. It could be a lower-table team. But Benetton this year is genuinely looking pretty decent. They pushed them decently well away from home, so it's hard to be too critical of the Ospreys. They took the lead early. They took a second-half lead through Nagy. Big line break try. They went up 8 points to 7. Then they were up 13-7, but ended up losing it at the end of the game. So, tough result, but a losing bonus point away from home is maybe not too bad. Their record is now 3-4, so 1 away from a 50-50 record. Likewise, the Stormers, same record as the Ospreys with 3-4, but they got a win. I love seeing the games at Stellenbosch. Beautiful with the background, man. Unbelievable. The mountains. beautiful. They should play more games there. I know they're kind of probably contractually obligated to play them all in Cape Town, but it's like whenever you see the Highlanders play games in Queenstown. It's just beautiful. So, yeah, man, they got a scrum pushover try as well, which is equally beautiful, but they didn't exactly, like, blow the Zebre boys away. I mean, I know 31-7, but as I mentioned when I was talking about Zebre, it was still pretty close at half-time. So, it took them 67 minutes to get the fourth try bonus point when Zas went over. So, yeah. Still not that convincing, but I mean, geez, have you seen Damien Willems' step in that game? He steps about 3 guys at one time. So, yeah, good having some of the Springbok boys back. Hopefully that'll make a difference. And then Connacht, oh my goodness, I feel for you guys. Watching that game against Leinster, you had chances to win it and lost it. So, down 2 spots, losing the last line out when you're in the last minute of the game and you basically secure that line out. And you win, and then they lose it, and they lose the game. Or one of the tries they conceded was from, they had a penalty, and then there was a bit of off-the-ball stuff, a bit of handbags, and that saw their penalty reversed, which directly led to a try. So, I don't know, man. Like, frustration levels are pretty much at maximum for Connacht. But, I mean, still, it was 24-22 against Leinster. They played all right, so it's a hard one. Like, do you feel good that you got a losing bonus point and it was such a competitive game? I would have thought it's complete frustration, but there you go. They've still got a positive record with 3 and 4, but they have lost their last 2 in a row. Speaking of losing 2 in a row, Ulster are down 3 spots with their home loss to Edinburgh. I don't think I picked that one because Ulster at home are usually pretty good. Tom Stewart got a couple of maul tries, and it seemed like one where most of the pretty tries were being disallowed. Like Hume got a bit of a worldie, but they disallowed it because Balakoon had gathered it. No, not gathered it. He kind of half lost it, then tapped it back. They're like, you got to regather it before you can tap it back. So that was a bit of a tough one. I mean, I know that's the rules, but it was just such a nice try. So a couple of late tries, but only enough for a losing bonus point. So they'll be pretty disappointed. 27-24 losers at home. Like I say, down 3 spots. Whereas the Lions are up above them, up 2 spots. Now, this is one area where it's a power rankings, not just the table, because Ulster have won 4 and lost 3, whereas the Lions have won 3 and lost 4. So Ulster should be above the Lions, right? Well, the way I think it should work with the power rankings is that you're putting more weight on the more recent results, and the Lions have won 3 out of the last 4. So they're in good form, whereas Ulster's lost their last 2. That's not just that. We're looking at home and away, and we're looking at the strength of the opposition, but seemingly, the Lions, I know they only played the Dragons, but they walloped them 49-24, and they're on a decent, good run. Hopefully more fans turn out to Joburg, but it's such a big stadium, it always looks half empty. Van Fakes scored a bloody nice one with some gash from turnover ball. They had Schoolman red carded for a jump, trying to charge down. I've seen that red carded a few times now. Caleb Clark from my Blues got red carded for something similar. You jump up to block a kick, and if you clatter into the guy that you were trying to, close down, you're going to get carded. So he did, but they still kept scoring some nice tries. So it didn't seem to stop the Lions at all. So they're up 2 spots. Munster are up also 2 spots. You could argue that they should be a little bit higher. They beat Glasgow, who last week I had first in the power rankings. So Glasgow didn't really live up to the billing, and Munster absolutely did. Their start to the game was quite incredible. Second half was a bit more even, but their start to the game, they just blitzed the Glasgow guys. They had no answer for it at Musgrave Park. So, yep. And that guy, Ahern, was amazing. I called him Ahern in the match review. That must bother people because I got a lot of comments about the pronunciation of that guy's name. I love the pronunciation tips, but that's the single most feedback I think I've had on any one particular name. So, but keep it coming. If I get a name's wrong, do let us know. Edinburgh, I've also got up 1 spot with their win over the Ulster guys. 1 point halftime lead, some good close range tries. Velicott won, just putting it down from a metre. Schoolman from a close range. That's what I mean about that game. Seems like the kind of nice tries got disallowed because Lang had one in the corner which was denied for a foot and touch. But they ended up winning it, pretty well. So 27-24. Edinburgh's 5-2 now. So the Scottish sides, despite the fact that Glasgow lost this week, are actually doing okay. They've both got pretty positive records. And it's good to see that kind of Italian Scottish pool is not like awfully weak. Like one of the things about the URC before is you'd be like, man, the 4 Irish sides are bloody good. And it's not fair that they have to play each other doubly as much. Like it sucks for Connacht having to play Munster and Leinster and Ulster, twice, whereas everybody else only plays them once. Whereas the likes of, Glasgow maybe gets to play the 2 Italian teams for a week or something like that. But nah, man, like that Scottish-Italian pool right now, or group, is looking pretty decent. Only Zebre is kind of in the bottom half of the old power rankings. Speaking of Glasgow, though, they are down. They were first last week, and they made me putting them first look pretty silly because, like I said, Munster just blitzed them. They had to chase the game after such a poor start. They did chase the game. Like every time they would get back to within 2 scores, Munster would score again. So, yeah, they came back decently well. It could have been a lot worse, but still 40 points to 29. Yeah, it's a pretty tough one. So they're down 3 spots. Yeah, didn't live up to the billing that I had set for them, sadly. But Benetton here is still in third. Speaking of these, like look at this, that same pool, same group. Benetton. They've only lost 1 game. There's only one other team that's lost only 1 game. And that's Leinster. Benetton, they're doing all right. I mean, they played the Ospreys, who are a kind of mid-table team with an almost 50-50 record, but low-scoring first half, 7 points to 3. Took them 76 minutes, I think, to put the game away, but this is encouraging. I want Zebre to do better as well, but I also want Benetton to be pushing. I remember they won the Rainbow Cup a few years ago, so we know that they've got a side which is quite full of internationals. A lot of Italian guys playing in that side, so fingers crossed they can keep up some kind of form. The Bulls, the top South African side, they are up 2 spots, so they've jumped over Benetton, because Benetton stayed the same. 44 points to 10. Again, they only played the Sharks. I say only played the Sharks, which feels wrong given the lineup that the Sharks have got, but they hammered them. They absolutely hammered them. Stedman Hans for his first one, gas. His second one, power. They punished the Sharks' yellow card. They had a bonus point by halftime. They had a yellow card in the start of the second half, but apart from that penalty try, once they got that yellow card, they didn't concede any more points. So, bloody hell. They kept scoring tries last 15 minutes. There was an up and under to Aka van der Merwe. Like, goodness gracious me. The Bulls are playing some fun rugby. And Leinster, number 1. Back up to top spot. I did have them second last week. They took that personally, apparently. But they almost lost. They're 6-1. They got the best record in the URC. They made 14 changes, and they played like a team which had made 14 changes. They were not slick by any means. But championship sides, man, when they're not playing that well, like they had 14 changes. They probably had 14 handling errors in the first half. I didn't count them, but there was a lot. They just kept dropping the ball. The line-out was shocking. They still find a way to win. Here I am talking bad things about them, but no. They played really below their best and still managed to get an away-from-home win with a bonus point. Unbelievable. So, there you go. That's the power rankings. It is different from the table, in case that is not clear. I like doing the power rankings. I think they're a bit of fun to see kind of which teams are doing well, which teams are doing less so. But as I said, we take a break from the power rankings now as we head into Europe. I look forward to seeing how the Champions Cup and whatnot goes. As always, if you haven't seen my other channel, 2 Cents on Tour, I'll put it up there. It's me in China, walking around, talking to people, visiting some sites, trying some food, observing an argument between some people about the way China managed the COVID situation. If that tickles your fancy, I'll put a link up there or down there. If you check it out, it would be much appreciated. But yeah, do let us know your thoughts on the power rankings. And yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.